Yo, what up, street dogs? There, Kim. All right, some turbo thoughts. This one is about, some random meditations about after experiencing VR and stuff. So, I think some just random thoughts off the top of my head. So, what becomes more interesting after VR, and what becomes less interesting after VR, and what can this teach us about real embodied reality? So, I feel like I'm kind of getting some like Matrix, Play-Doh vibes. The whole like what's important, what's not important. So I think much of modern day consumerism deals around with the fact that we want to acquire more stuff, right? Like cars, clothes, gadgets, stuff like that. And there's so many people who spend an insane amount of money, like in time, doing home improvement, wanting to buy a house, wanting to buy a car. And you think about the two things that at least we Americans spend the most money on is buying a home and buying a car. So let's say, it's so funny because for me after VR, I actually have almost zero interest, or maybe even negative zero interest in purchasing some sort of car, even a home. And if there's anything I learned about from VR is that it seems the best environments are actually the much more dynamic ones. And I think this is why I loved living in Saigon and Mexico City, Osaka, Kyoto, as well as Hanoi, is that the environments are incredibly dynamic. And it seems like much of modern day life, our environments are so static. So we spend an inordinate amount of money on our equipment, our gears, clothes, shopping, stuff like that. But then I think what we humans really want is we want a much more dynamic environment with moving people, ambient noises. This is one thing at least I miss about coffee shops, the hustle and bustle. Even ironically, I was just talking on the mall, but there are some upsides to the mall, and like even going to Costco if you're stuck in like some sort of a suburban hell, because at least the environment seems to be much more dynamic and moving and flowing and so forth. So yeah, I think that's why people love traveling so much, is that the environment is extremely dynamic. The environment keeps moving, keeps, it doesn't stay still. Whereas so much of American society and the world in America, I think everything is just a little bit too still. So anything that we could do in society and life that we could make our life much more dynamic and active, the better. So simple things you could do is, everyone's trying to save money, but I'm always curious, I'm like, to what end? And I think for me, any sort of monetary investment that contributes to my creative productivity, for me to feel inspired to come up with new ideas, make new photos, make new videos, whatever. So actually in that way, like going out to eat food, actually a really good idea is, you obviously don't know how to spend like an insane amount of money on food. But yeah, I think that's where, using money to spend on travels, experience and stuff like that. And then it looks like now COVID actually starting to calm down a little bit. Mexico's reopened, which is pretty cool. So if you ever want a really cool place to go to Mexico City. And I'm sure as time goes on, a lot more places will open up anyways. So, and this is towards the pragmatics of minimalism. A lot of minimalism is, it's not that stuff is bad and stuff is evil, but sometimes we get so attached to our stuff that our love for our stuff, whether it be our car and stuff, it prevents us from traveling. It prevents us from doing and pursuing things that we actually find, interesting. And so, in this way, you're stuck in the burbs, whatever. It's not like you don't have to have the world's fanciest car or nicest car, but just have a car to go around, move around, see new things. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to live a much more dynamic life. I mean, obviously have zero idea, like, you know, who you are, where you're living at, what your situation may be, but the skinny of it is this: when in doubt, try to live a more dynamic life.